Welcome back to World Affairs in Context. Thank you so much for being here. Let's quickly walk through the top headlines of the day. Bloomberg is reporting that Ontario raises electricity prices by 25% for Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. It takes two to tango, of course, and amid Trump's stance on tariffs and waging trade wars in foreign states, then flip-flopping on the specifics on when those tariffs actually begin, U.S. residents do have to pay higher electricity prices as Canada officially hiked rates. The increase in tariffs by the Canadian province that imports electricity to the United States was a retaliation for President Donald Trump's tariffs. Ontario's Premier Doug Ford previously commented, "Believe me when I say," he said, "I don't want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people. It is one person who's responsible. That's President Donald Trump."
If the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump.
Okay, so he's blaming Trump, and it may be challenging to argue with that statement. Well, there are many people who welcome tariffs on foreign states because they believe that this is the only thing, the one thing that we need right now in the United States to bring manufacturing back home. They now actually have to spend an extra 25%, which amounts to roughly 10 Canadian dollars or 7 United States dollars per megawatt hour. So it is a quite substantial increase in price. The United States-Ukraine discussions are starting on March the 11th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Zelensky has reportedly arrived to Jeddah, although he is not expected to participate in the actual discussions. The goal of the meeting is to focus on a joint plan regarding an initial ceasefire with Russia, a temporary truce that is. There's of course no indication as to why the Russian side would even agree to this, why they would agree to effectively Minsk 3.0 if neither the West nor Ukraine are willing to discuss permanent peace agreements based on previously communicated interests and concerns. So a temporary truce appears to be a rerun of what we've already seen several times with Istanbul agreements and with Minsk agreements. Despite previous reports, the widely reported suspension of military aid and intelligence assistance by the Trump administration was not accurate. The U.S. continued to share intel with Zelensky's regime, despite the fact that last week we were told that the Trump administration paused it. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Stephen Witkoff, actually confirmed to Fox News that, to his best understanding, they actually never shut off intelligence for anything defensive, he said, that the Ukrainian side needs. Besides peace negotiations, the U.S.-Ukraine delegations will discuss rare earth minerals deal in Jeddah. It may be revived at this point. Zelensky is, of course, not expected to participate directly, but the head of Zelensky's office, Yermak, will lead the Ukrainian side, and Marco Rubio will represent the United States. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said Zelensky officially apologized for his behavior at the White House nearly 2 weeks ago. I'm sure you remember that episode very well. We all know that it was just a matter of time until Zelensky is told to apologize or lose one of his key privileges. In the United States, stagflation concerns are rising. Stagflation is a combination of stagnant growth and elevated inflation, so really the worst of two worlds. There is a wide expectation that since inflation has already been well above its target for 4 straight years and the economic weakening is evident, the Fed will be constrained and too slow to act in responding to any further downward shifts. The looming possibility of escalating trade wars leads to a supply shock, which can negatively impact any economic growth prospects and, in turn, drive prices up even further. So stagflation fears are rising, and for a good reason, as you can tell, despite Fed Chair Jerome Powell's usual remarks last week. Remember, he thought that inflation was actually transitory 3 years ago, and here we are in 2025 still dealing with elevated prices, with elevated inflation. So whatever he says should be taken with a grain of salt and, of course, serious fact checking. Now let's move on to the next news I would like to share with you. Russia, China, and Iran are conducting joint military training exercises known as Marine Security Belt in Iran's port of Chabahar near the Gulf of Oman. This is part of routine joint exercises that are held on an annual basis. However, it is worth noting here that the area around Iran's Chabahar port is strategically important for global trade and also for oil exports. In fact, the Gulf of Oman is strategic because it leads to the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key shipping route for oil, as I mentioned previously in my videos. Now, Donald Trump, when asked if he is concerned about these joint exercises, he said that he has nothing to worry about. In Syria, the genocide of the Alawites and Christians continues, despite the quite despicable claim made by the EU in their post on X, where they effectively blamed the victims. The ethnic cleansing is perpetuated by the Al-Qaeda and former ISIS, al-Jilani's regime, which was installed, of course, as we know, by the United States, Turkey, and Israel earlier this year. And of course, I will not be showing you any footage, but if you would like to get more information on the horrors and the crimes against the Christians and the Alawites, civilians in Syria, there are multiple videos on Telegram and on X where you can get more details on this. So I will go ahead and wrap up the video here. If you find this new format helpful, let me know in the comments below. Give a video a like. As always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. It boosts algorithm here on YouTube and on Rumble. And I will see you back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.